Good morning and welcome to BBOC Live. It's 10:30 a.m. Eastern, and this is the Week 8 college football betting preview. I'm Stuckey, and joining me, as always, my fellow BBOC co-hosts, Colin Wilson, Mike Calabrese, and of course, the one and only Mr. Brett McMurphy. Welcome back, Brett. Not to throw any shade your way, but you missed the show last week, and we almost swept the board with only one loss. So we hope that you bring the winners today. We have a lot to get to. We'll give our first of two best bets in just a moment. We'll talk two marquee matchups, including Alabama, Tennessee, and the big one tonight between Georgia and Texas. Colin and I will build out our weekly round robin moneyline parlay. Came super close last week for the second straight week, and then we'll finish up with Johnny Manziel's Hail Mary pick of the week. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Welcome to our new channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe and like button. And before we get started, quick ad read here. If you want access to all of Action's Pro projections, make sure to sign up for our annual subscription that is currently on sale. Access includes exclusive player prop picks from Sean Kerner and other members of the Action Analytics team. You also get access to exclusive expert articles, our best spread, moneyline, and total bets, and real ticket and money percentages. To sign up, visit actionnetwork.com/pro today and use code BBOC20 at sign up. One more time, that's BBOC20 at sign up for $20 off. Brett, before we get to Saturday, I do appreciate your insight into Oklahoma State, saying they wouldn't quit. Backed your Pokes, who should have won. I think they had a 70-80% post-game win expectancy, lose in the final seconds, despite all the injuries. It's a tough loss.
6 words stuck. Good teams win, great teams cover.
Do you see a bowl game in Oklahoma State's future?
God, I hope so, but realistically, I mean, I don't know emotionally how they get over that game. You know, the injuries, you've got no backup behind Bowman now. And, Gordon's not 100%. Presley got dinged up, already down 3 starters on defense. Yeah, this will be tough. I think Gundy, people can criticize Gundy, whatever, but just what they did offensively, basically with one hand tied behind their back after Rangel went out, very impressive. But obviously you can't give up that touchdown drive in the final minute. That there's no excuse for that. But may just be another magical season for BYU. Once every 40 years, maybe they'll repeat 84. We'll see.
I mean, they have a really easy schedule. Could face more backups down the stretch, maybe 4 of their last 5 games. Been a complete luck box. I think they're outscoring teams by 60 points off of turnovers on the year. Oklahoma State was also without their 3 best defenders in the game. They were looking like a team I was going to bet on the rest of the year, with Rangel on unlocking, with his legs, he unlocks Gordon's legs, and you saw that in that game. But now then they both got, I mean, what a mess. Cursed year for Oklahoma State. Colin, finally, I think a plus Friday night for you, but you still found a way to lose money on Florida State.
Yeah, I decided to hop in live. I wanted to join you. There were finally signs of life out of the offense around halftime that Florida State was receiving the ball. What's funny is I had the live option of 6.5 plus like 110 versus 7.5 minus 130. Took the live option of plus 6.5, and that did not work out by a half point. So always get the best number, everybody.
Yeah, the fumble inside the red zone. I mean, they dropped touchdown, dropped first down, 4 turnovers, the botched field goal attempt. Duke is running as good as any team in the country. Actually bowl eligible somehow with a bunch of mirage wins. Calabrese, any takeaways from Friday night?
I think Purdue needs to pack it up and get themselves a new head coach. Watching that game against Oregon, it was supposed to be a sleepy start for Oregon. They came out, looked really sharp early in that game, kind of put it away in the first quarter. So kudos to Dan Lanning and his staff, because that was a bit of a trappy spot, at least in the first half. Those are my main takeaways. Florida State, the quarterback situation is so horrific, having 3 turnovers on 3 straight plays. they're now into that special kind of bad where it's almost entertaining territory, where early in the season with DJU, it was just a tire fire and sad to watch. But at this point, really the headline for me is that Oregon is steaming ahead. And I think in terms of the rematch in the Big Ten title game, if they do draw Ohio State, I think everybody wants to see that. And luckily with Lanning, it seems as though he's, learned a few lessons in his first couple years where they're not having letdowns in spots that they potentially could trip up.
Yeah, Purdue was actually able to move the ball some, but the defense is just so bad under Walters. But enough of Friday night. Let's get to a super Saturday slate. The set last week lived up to expectations. The week before exceeded expectations, hoping for the same today. So let's get to our first best bets. I'll kick things off as the resident Diego Pavia whisperer. Haven't lost the game on Bandy on the show all year. It's a simple formula. They are an SEC Service Academy team. Play slow, limited possessions. You want to take them as a double-digit dog. I mean, they could have, what, 4 wins as a double-digit dog this season. The one game that they lost to an FBS team, they were a double-digit favorite against a bad Georgia State team and lost outright. I don't think Ball State can win this game outright. Their defense is so bad, but I have to take the points. This is just a horrific spot for Vanderbilt off back-to-back upsets over Alabama and Kentucky. You got number 1 Texas coming into town. I'm sure I'll be on Vanderbilt as a huge underdog in that game. But because of that, sure, they won't show much. Pavia dealing with some lower body injuries and other guys banged up. You might rest some guys that are dealing with injuries. You probably pull everyone earlier than you normally would if you build a big lead. There's no reason to blow out Ball State here. Ball State has some juice offensively. Their D is so bad, but I got to play the spot and take the points here as the Pavia whisperer. Colin, where are you going?
Pavia whisperer. Let's go in my backyard here. Let's take Arkansas plus 2.5. A really good spot coming up against an LSU team that just won in prime time against Ole Miss at home. Highly emotional game that needed the very last drive of the game to overcome that. And now they're going to have to travel up to Fayetteville to get into a healthy Arkansas team. The big struggle over the bye week was Taylon Green's health. Had a little bit of a scare at the end of the game 2 weeks ago. He is 100%. He is fine in practice and throwing downfield all day. That's good news for our offensive line also, because Patrick Kutis returns. He was graded out as our best offensive lineman coming into this season, the captain of our offensive line. He is finally 100% healthy and going to play today. Plus, LSU struggles against RPO attacks with mobile quarterbacks. Let's take a look at that South Carolina box score. Lenoris Sellers and Rocket Sanders combined for 4 touchdowns on the ground, almost 300 yards. That's going to be a problem against Jaquindon Jackson and Taylon Green on Arkansas's offense. Plus, how do you defend Garrett Nussmeier? He has been so fantastic behind an offensive line that protects him. I'm putting my faith in defensive coordinator Travis Williams. I don't think he's going to be a defensive coordinator very long. He's going to be a head coach soon. And if this guy can shut down the Tennessee offense with no problems a couple of weeks ago, I trust him here to give Garrett Nussmeier a few problems. So give me Arkansas plus 2.5.
How the tables have turned. The last time we saw Arkansas, when they upset Tennessee, Colin didn't even want to, he was afraid. He didn't even want to mention Arkansas the entire show. And now he just can't wait to get a play out on Arkansas. I actually agree here though. Brett, where you headed?
Heading to Cincinnati. Cincinnati, I think they're up to now 5.5 point favorite against Arizona State. Look, even before the news broke that Arizona State quarterback Sam Leavitt was out, I love Cincinnati here. Arizona State is in a horrific spot. They're coming off a revenge game against Utah, a team that beat them 55-3 last year. Sun Devils upset Utah. They stormed the field. Hey, Kenny Dillingham even crowd surfs after the game. Now they travel to Cincinnati. Waiting for them is the Bearcats, and surprisingly, the Big 12's second best offense led by quarterback Brendan Sorsby. Cincinnati 4-2 with 2 losses by a total of 4 points. Bearcats vastly improved over last year, but the final piece for me is with Leavitt out, Jeff Sims takes over at quarterback. Well, perhaps you don't recognize the name Jeff Sims. How about the name Turnover Machine? That is Jeff Sims. At Nebraska last year, 1 touchdown pass, 6 interceptions. Bearcats roll. enjoy some Skyline chili at halftime. Cincinnati minus the number.
Scott, thumbs down on Scott. People from Cincy gonna hate. I'm close to Cincy. I'm not a Skyline chili guy. I just chili on pasta. It's just I mean it just goes against my religion. But yeah, I mean Jeff Sims. How many times is he going to give the ball away? That's the question here. Cincinnati's still flying a bit under the radar. You mentioned their 2 losses. They lost to an undefeated Pitt team. Pitt is up there with BYU and Duke as the ultimate luck boxes. Since he was in control of that game, Pitt came storming back. There was a 4th down delay of game. Since he should have won that game. And then they lose to Texas Tech, who's undefeated in the Big 12 in Lubbock in a game where it was a coin flip. They could have won, and they had all their running backs get hurt in that game. So Cincy is playing some good football. Worry a bit about the coaching mismatch, but yeah, Jeff Sims, very untrustworthy. Calabrese, where you headed?
So this is what I love about college football betting. Last week, about 12 hours before I was at midfield, storming the field with that Oregon win, gave out Oregon money line, get to play, these marquee matchups, and now I get to go all the way to the bottom of the board. I'm going to go Southern Miss against Arkansas State. I'll lay the points with the Red Wolves here because Will Hall's era is over in Hattiesburg. They are 4-14 straight up in their last 18 games, 6-12 against the spread. This is the last year of his 4-year contract. I think he's just coaching out the string. And when you look at Southern Miss this year, their defense used to have an edge. They used to be the nasty boys. They do not have an edge anymore. Every single team plays them this year, and they get right offensively. USF has struggled offensively this year. They dropped 49. Jacksonville State took flight by scoring 44. Even UL Monroe beat them by 17 points, running away with it in the 4th quarter. And there's no risk of a backdoor cover here if Arkansas State can steam out to an early lead, because Southern Miss is dead last, 134th in havoc allowed. So they're dealing with so many negative plays. They're behind the sticks. And I still think this Arkansas State offense has some punch. Jalen Rayner still has Jaquez Cross. He's got Corey Rucker out wide. And motivationally, if they can get 3 wins, they can get to 6-6 and hit bowl eligibility. They got a win here. So I think they're going to be focused, and you're going to see the best offensive performance of the year from Butch Jones's boys. So I'll go with the Red Wolves in a Sun Belt matchup.
No risk of a backdoor. Don't tempt the gambling gods like that. Little risk, maybe. No risk.
Frank Gore Jr. is not walking through that door. This quarterback situation has never been solved by Will Hall, and I think that's the reason why he's going to get that pink slip.
I would still knock on some wood if you got some in front of you. All right, let's move on to our first marquee matchup of the day. We are going to SEC country and talking a little Alabama, Tennessee. Before we share our thoughts, here's Johnny Manziel. A little excerpt from a conversation I had with him earlier this week on this game. I mean, if you can figure out either one of these 2 teams, you're a smarter man than me. What do you see here between Alabama and Tennessee?
Man, I see 2 teams that are both, equally having their struggles. But I think this is a game that Alabama finds a way to come back and get back to being themselves a little bit. Obviously, we got to see in the Georgia game they played 3 weeks ago. They have the capability of putting things together and being a top team in college football. And then you look at them the last 2 weeks and you're curious, how that was ever even the case. But I think this is a game that they get back on track and they start rolling a little bit again. I mean, the talent is there, the pieces are there. And Tennessee's just struggled a little bit enough, and they're going to run into a team, that has talent. I think this is a game Alabama finds a way to win.
All right, thanks, Johnny. As far as this game is concerned, I have no idea. This is a pure pass for me. These are 2 teams that I've been fading. I think are both overrated in the market. They both have major flaws. They jumped out to a great start against weaker competition, but have been exposed on the back end, some offensive line issues. They've kind of followed the same trajectory as well. They both get upset as big favorites. They both come home. You think they're going to bounce back, and they both arguably should have lost last week. Tennessee to Florida and Alabama to South Carolina, if not for some fluke turnovers. So, yeah, these are 2 teams I want no part of. If I had to take a side, the number is the great equalizer, but I would just say Milroe right now is more trustworthy to take advantage of the Alabama secondary issues than Nico is to take advantage of Alabama's secondary issues. But for me, pure pass. 2 teams I want to fade playing each other. No, thank you. Colin?
Yeah, I'm going to swim with the stream and all the money here. I'm going to go with Alabama. I cannot get over the fact that Tennessee lost their middle linebacker, their captain of the defense, the guy that wears the green dot on the back of his helmet that gets communication from defensive coordinator Tim Banks. Keenan Pili will not be in this game. That is a major blow to this defense. That should allow Jalen Milroe, already having success hitting some of these wide receivers and creating explosive plays. Well, now the secondary for Tennessee was absolutely torched in their last two games. Taylon Green, DJ Lagway, Graham Mertz. They created 17 explosive passes against the Volunteers in the last two games. And now you lose your middle linebacker signal caller, and Josh Heupel hadn't really identified who it's going to be. That's a problem for the Tennessee defense. You go to the other side of the ball. Can Alabama's broken defense stop Tennessee's broken offense? The answer is yeah, I think so. Kane Womack, defensive coordinator for Alabama, runs a lot of a lot of man coverage, about 40% of the time. And when you're in that against the wide splits of Josh Heupel, your outside linebackers have to declare, and they have to be great in coverage. Alabama has that with Jahad Campbell. He is ranked 4th nationally per PFF of all individual linebackers in man coverage. Alabama's going to be able to play against this offense today for Tennessee and shut them down. So I'll take Alabama.
I do think, it's not obviously either of these teams that loses. Whoever loses this game could still win out, but I do think ultimately loser of this game out of the college football playoff. This is, to me, very close to an elimination game. Brett, you agree with me? You can't trust either offense or defense. Calabrese, how about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with an over here. I think both of these defenses are susceptible. I have to imagine Nick Saban is just sitting there with the, film clicker, rewind play on all of their blown assignments late in games. You look at what Vandy did late in their game and the upset. South Carolina almost gets across the finish line, hitting a deep ball to Nick Harbor late in that game. There's just been so many issues in the back third of their defense. And when it comes to Tennessee, I'm trying not to be a victim of a small sample size here. Dylan Sampson has been their offensive engine, but they've been playing against teams where they've been able to keep it closer to the vest, play more conservatively against an Arkansas offense, against Florida. In this spot, I think Alabama is going to jump out to a lead because they're arguably the most explosive offense in the entire country. And I think we're going to see some more vertical passing games, some deeper shots. Now, the question is, can they protect Nico, or can he extend plays with his legs and keep his eyes downfield? We'll see, but I would much rather be holding an over ticket in this spot, because I think if Alabama sets the pace, then we could see a game in the 60s as opposed to one in the 50s. So I'll go with over 56.5.
Yeah, fascinated to see if Nico can have a bounce back game, because he has been bad in SEC play. All right, let's transition to our weekly round robin moneyline parlay. Colin, pretty close the past 2 weeks. It's been profitable, but we want to hit one of these, at least one during the season. We have, if you listen to our podcast or check out on the Action Network app or actionnetwork.com, our moneyline parlay, both of those teams are in there. We've hit that 2 weeks in a row. Both those teams will be in this round robin. Why don't you kick us off with an anchor?
Yeah, we're going to start off with Yukon here, playing at home against a Wake Forest team in a non-conference sandwich here. I'm not sure what level of interest they have in this game going up north to play this. Plus, Yukon has a heavy ground attack that is explosive and efficient and moves the chains. That's going to be a problem for a Wake Forest defense that's bottom 10 in rushing success rate.
Give me the ears. I'm going with West Virginia at home against Kansas State. The way to attack this West Virginia defense is through the air. Iowa State, much more capable than Kansas State. I just don't trust Avery Johnson in that passing attack. West Virginia's run D's been good. I think this is a good bounce back spot for West Virginia against a Kansas State team that just hasn't been overly impressive to me this year. Give me the ears in Morgantown, Country Roads. Where you headed?
Yeah, let's take our third team on the East Coast here. We're going to go with the Maryland Terrapins hosting USC. Have you seen the Trojans play at Minnesota? Have you seen them play at Michigan? They just do not look good whatsoever when they leave the friendly confines of Los Angeles. Maryland here has something on defense that can really expose USC, and that is a pass rush. Maryland is a top 30 pass rush. USC, sadly, is in the bottom 5 in protecting Miller Moss. So let's go ahead and take the Terrapins today.
Yeah, tough spot for USC after that heartbreaking loss. Cross-country travel. I've had some defensive losses, and just where are they at mentally? We'll find out today in College Park. I'm going to go, we'll head out west. Let's go with a little Air Force against Colorado State. At lower scoring game, higher variance. Air Force, changed quarterbacks. I think that makes them a little bit more dangerous on the ground with the two guys that they went with. Colorado State, no Torrey Horton, no dice. Give me Air Force. Close us up here.
Yeah, one of the best spots on another non-conference sandwich. UNLV is going to go up to Corvallis in a very weird spot where they have to play Boise State. The premier group of 5 game is going to happen next Friday night. I'm not sure how much UNLV cares about this game up at Oregon State. And Oregon State has the offense that is just going to run the ball, pound clock, eat it all day, and keep that go-go offense off the field. I think UNLV has zero interest in this game. Let's take the Beavers.
Yeah, second straight road game. And for UNLV, the last one was in elevation. If you look at teams historically in the 9 highest elevation stadiums playing on the road the next week, they're like 30% against the spread historically. And their defense has been on the field for 90 plus plays the past 2 weeks. Oregon State's definitely going to try to lean on you with that big offensive line and try to wear down this UNLV defense, which they'll need to do because the Oregon State defense, oof, they have some issues. So round robin, Yukon, West Virginia, Maryland, Air Force, and Oregon State. Good luck if you are following along. All right, let's move to our second marquee matchup of the day between Georgia and Texas. Texas has taken some money this week out to 4.5, 5-point favorites. I personally took Georgia here. Look, Texas could just be the best team in the country by a couple points and could be much better than Georgia. But I'm going to pay to make them prove it. We've seen this time and time again this year. We just talked about Tennessee, Alabama. How about Ole Miss? These teams who have dominated inferior competition because of just an enormous talent gap. Texas has yet to be tested all season long. They played Michigan with Davis Warren. I mean, that Michigan team can't complete a forward pass. They played Oklahoma and Oklahoma's backup quarterback without any of their wide receivers. They've yet to be tested. So this Georgia team, still as talented as any in the country. Yes, they have some flaws. They're struggling to defend play action. Defensive line's banged up, interior offensive line. The wide receivers aren't as good as in years past. The depth isn't as elite as some of those national title teams, but this is still one of the best teams in the country. Give me the points. Colin, you agree?
I completely agree, but I'm going to take Georgia +3 in the first half. This is just a historical spot to play against Texas. When you look at what they've done since Coach Steve Sarkisian has taken over, he's had struggles beating teams that are inferior the weeks after. Lost to Oklahoma State in 2021, barely beat Iowa State by 3. It was a bad Iowa State team in 2022. And then last year, struggling to beat Houston by 1 possession. Texas just cannot seem to pick it up after Red River. And this should be the healthiest the Georgia defense has ever been, but really the offense is what's going to make it today, because the defensive interior for Texas is unproven after what they had last year, especially from a run defense standpoint. Trevor Etienne should get his yards. Plus, the secondary, that's the problem with Texas last year in the college football playoff. Michael Penix was able to dice that up. Have they really been tested yet? The best offense, the best team you faced on paper is Michigan? No, they haven't. And Carson Beck can get downfield fast. We saw that against Alabama. Give me Georgia +3 here. I'll take the first half, especially with the spot against Texas the week after Red River.
Yeah, who's the best quarterback that Texas has faced? Best throwing quarterback? Fowler Nicolosi? General Booty? It certainly isn't Michigan or Oklahoma. Brett, you joining the party on Georgia?
Yeah, Stuck. I like Georgia also. Some of the things you laid out. Look, Georgia's been here, done that. In matchups between AP top 5 ranked teams, Kirby Smart has won 6 of his last 7. His only loss was recently against Alabama. They almost pulled that out. Sark in his career, 2-8 in that situation. Everything's bigger in Texas, right? Not this schedule. The best offense UT has faced this year, Mississippi State. The best defense, UL Monroe. Horns have faced 5 of the nation's bottom 40 scoring offenses, 3 of the bottom 30 scoring defenses. Major League Baseball playoffs are going on right now. Sorry, Colin, it's too soon with the Royals. Remember Reggie Jackson, Mr. October? Forget about it. Kirby Smart is Mr. October. He's won 14 straight games in the month of October. Make it 15 straight. I like the Dogs outright.
Colin, yeah, you were telling us how you were going to go to Royals games. You might. Did you get out there for any?
Yeah.
First row seats now.
Yeah. Not going to talk about that Yankees series. We're moving on. We're on to 2025.
So yeah, back to Collins' bet. I mean, with your first half bet, I think it's a key to this game. I think if Georgia is going to win this game, Colin, your bet, it doesn't have to catch, but it would be important because Georgia needs to get out to a fast start. It's been a problem all season long. It was a glaring issue against Alabama when they got down 28-0. Hopefully they can draw from that, come out here with a little more sense of urgency, because this game obviously means a lot more to Georgia than Texas, right? Georgia go 10-2, still make the college football playoff, but the schedule, it's not easy the rest of the way. So with one loss already on their schedule, this is a fairly important game for Georgia. Calabrese, what do you say?
I'm going to pass pregame, but I'm kind of siding with Colin's assessment that if Georgia can play well in the first half, I'd love to grab a live number on Texas closer to even money. Now, it's going to be difficult because, as you mentioned, Mike Bobo has been conservative in his play calling. Hopefully, he's learned some lessons in the first half of the season and they come out a little bit more aggressive, because if I can get close to even money on Texas, I'm not laying points. All of a sudden, the game within the game, I think, starts playing in favor of the Longhorns. So that comes down to the trenches. They're #1 in pass protection per PFF. And this Georgia defense, I know that they've had injuries on the defensive line, but it's been shocking how poor they've been in terms of 4- and 5-man rushes getting to the quarterback. 1.83 sacks per game. That's 80th in the country. And in terms of havoc, they're 125th nationally in defensive back havoc. So usually these Georgia teams are so aggressive. They have pass breakups. They get to the quarterback. They harass people. They have not been that. And then offensively, when you look at what they've done in the run game, 1.8 yards before contact. That's 77th in the entire country. I think the team that's going to beat Texas this year is going to be able to do a lot of it on the ground. I don't think that's the Bulldogs in this spot, but at 5, it's a pass pregame. Hopefully, like I said, I can get that live number on UT.
Yeah, I mean, Texas's offensive line is elite. I don't know if Georgia's going to be able to get a ton of natural pressure. I think you have to play more coverage here. So we'll see how they play it, but should be a good one down in Austin. But let's move on to our final best bets of the day. I'll kick things off. I'm going to go with Sparty at home in primetime against Iowa. 15 days off. I had this spot circled all season. 15 days off after playing arguably, the two best teams in the country, but definitely 2 top 5 teams in Ohio State and Oregon. Jonathan Smith, just elite with extra time to prepare. He's an elite head coach. I think he's 10-2 against the spread with extra time to prepare. Iowa, not a team you want to back that when they need to win by margin. They want to rely on the ground game. Strength of the Michigan State defense is their rush defense. I like the home dog here. Give me Sparty. Colin, where are you going for your final best bet?
I'm going to go to a road favorite. Kentucky right now is -2 in the market, but I like the money line. There's still plenty of -125s or less out there, which you can purchase. Listen, the quarterback situation at Florida is now freshman DJ Lagway. Not great numbers, especially running anything on the ground. Kentucky's defense is just so havoc-minded. They ought to be able to cause a few turnovers here. Plus, the Gators on defense, they cannot defend what the Wildcats have from a rushing perspective. Florida's had problems stopping the run all season. Plus, if you want to beat Kentucky, you need to get them to cough the ball up. Kentucky's 1-3 in games where they have turnover issues, or at least record a turnover, and Florida's been terrible at generating turnovers on defense. Kentucky plays a sound offensive game here, a disciplined game. They'll be able to beat freshman DJ Lagway on the other side of the ball. Give me the Wildcats here down, sending Sunbelt Billy down his path of probably to hot seat and out of Gainesville.
Who's Sunbelt Billy?
Don't know.
Okay, Brett, where are you going?
Scared money don't make money. Billy Napier and Colin Wilson.
Brett, I feel like Brett coaxed you into that Florida State live bet. Yeah, maybe he owes you a lunch. But go ahead, Brett.
I'm the Colin whisperer, especially on the golf course. I'm going with a huge Mountain West matchup. No, wait, that they're still in the MAC, at least for now. NIU and Toledo. Huge game for MAC implications. Maybe in the future, Mountain West, we'll see. Stuckey, I know you hopped on the Huskies bandwagon to win the MAC a couple weeks ago. This is a big revenge spot for NIU. Last year, they lost by 2 points to the Rockets. Toledo starting quarterback Tucker Gleason injured last week, may not be at 100%. And that's not promising because I'm told NIU is getting back some key defensive players for this week. NIU has the league's second best offense, top defense. They're at home against an overrated Rocket team. Give me NIU minus the field goal.
Yeah, I mean, NIU quarterback injuries too. Do you have any news on Hampton?
I do not. Trying to
Okay.
confirm that. Yeah.
Mac. If you want to go down the board in the Mac, there's just this team's quarterback's out. This team's quarterback's out. This team's quarterback could be out. This team's quarterback could be out. The Mac Manifesto will be here. The midseason Mac Manifesto will be here soon. I'll be digging into a lot of quarterback news. Calabrese, where you headed for your? We're getting fun here for your final best bet.
Yeah, I'm going to go over a team total, New Mexico 39.5. It all starts with Devin Dampier, who is the best quarterback the Lobos have had since Stoney Case, who was slinging it around in the late 80s for the Permian high school team Go Mojo, the Friday Night Lights lore. So it's been a while since New Mexico's had a really good quarterback, and the whole offense is humming. They're averaging over 35 points per game, and they really protect their quarterback. When you watch him play, you think, oh, he's this great dual threat. He can extend plays. He must take a decent amount of sacks. That's not true. He's only been sacked once the entire year, so they're always on schedule ahead of the sticks. They're going to move the ball up and down the field at will against this Utah State defense that is dead last in SP plus per Bill Conley, and they also struggle to create any negative plays, 126th in havoc. Also, when it comes to a team total, you worry about even facing a bad defense that maybe their offense will protect them. Maybe they could go with some plodding 9 and 10 play drives that eat up half of a quarter. Not Utah State. They are the third fastest teams in terms of tempo in the entire country, 21.3 seconds between snaps. So there's going to be lots of opportunities for the Lobos in this one. I see them having north of 11 offensive drives. If I can get 6 touchdowns, I'm going to go ahead and cash here. This is going to be one of the highest scoring games of the entire year. I think the total's sitting at 78.5, but Utah State worries me a little bit. They had all that coaching, controversy in the offseason. The Q word is at play here with them quitting. So I don't want to go with a game over. I'm just going to go with a team total. Give me over 39.5 with the Lobos.
Stoney Case mentioned, man, that brought back some maybe nightmares. He started a couple of games for the Ravens back in before their Super Bowl year.
I think he was Jake Plummer's backup with the Arizona Cardinals, at least for a cup of coffee. So yeah, Stoney Case has some interesting NFL highlights, if you want to call them that.
Hey, Mike, my first job out of college, I covered Odessa Permian for the Odessa American. So I know the Friday Night Lights lore firsthand.
Go Mojo.
You got it.
All right. Well, we got a Stoney Case. Cash your tickets if you had. I mean, those are some juicy tickets if you had a Stoney Case mentioned. I was just trying to think about like a New Mexico, because you mentioned Stoney Case, like who was another prolific New Mexico quarterback, just even like one season, and I couldn't think of a single person, a single name over the past 25 years. A pretty astonishing run. Good stuff there. Before we get out of here, let's get to Johnny Manziel one more time for his Hail Mary pick of the week. Johnny, where you headed this week for your Hail Mary pick?
I'm headed to the Nebraska Cornhuskers versus Indiana. I think this is a game that Dylan Raiola is going to have to play his best. Obviously struggled a little bit in a 14-7 win last week before their bye against Rutgers. But this is a game that obviously Indiana has been great on the offensive side of the ball. But Nebraska's defense is going to have to come out and really slap them in the face a little bit. I think this is a game that they keep it a little close scoring, a little bit ugly, and Nebraska is able to put up just enough points to knock off this undefeated Indiana team, who's had a hell of a season so far, but I think this is one that they're in danger of losing.
All right, thanks, Johnny. One final reminder, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're watching on our new YouTube channel. Do appreciate that. 959 Bad Beat. Don't forget about the voicemail. Recap show will be out Monday morning. Call, yell at us for whatever you want all week. One final reminder, if you want access to all of Action's Pro projections, make sure to sign up for our annual subscription that is currently on sale. Access includes exclusive player prop picks from Sean Kern and other members of the Action Analytics team. You'll also get access to exclusive expert articles, our best spread, money line, and total bets, and real ticket money percentages. To sign up, visit actionnetwork.com/pro. That'll do it for us. Thank you to Colin, Brett, Mike, and our producers on the back end. Most importantly, thanks to all of you for tuning in. Group of 5 guys will be back midweek. Colin, I'll be back with the Week 9 college football betting preview on Thursday. New BCS will be out Tuesday. I already mentioned the recap show. And one final reminder, the voicemail 959-BAD-BEAT. We'll be back same time next week, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, right here on our new BBOC YouTube channel. Thanks again for tuning in. Good luck on all of your bets today, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.